every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Freemasonry. So this is the Friday live stream. Tomorrow at midnight, I do think I'm going to do another one of my live streams on my personal channel where we will be talking about we're watching out camera shake there. We'll be watching a movie together. I think we're watching Incident in a Ghostland because it's one of my favorite movies, favorite recent movies anyways, that's been, I think, overlooked. But that is for tomorrow midnight. I'll see about posting something on my socials. But today we are here to chat about Freemasonry. So if you are just joining us, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. As always, the first half hour to an hour, I just wait to see who's going to join. And then from there, we go on to specific topics. It was great yesterday because we had some new people joining, which I always appreciate and always love it when new people join the chat. It was a great stream yesterday as well. A lot of fun. So I always go back and forth between trying mobile streams versus in person or versus laptop streams, but I do find the mobile streams sometimes get more people showing up for them. So I figured I would try another mobile stream. So please hit that like button, subscribe button. Let me know what you think of Freemasonry, positive, negative, neutral. I'd love to know. And yeah, we will go on to our specific topics. I was thinking today talking about the idea of Masonic lodges funding travel. Actually, that's going to be my poll question today. Funding travel to special events. Let me just see. I can go here. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes or no? Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me just get the settings here correct, by the way. There we go. Start that poll. Let me know how you guys are doing. And as always, anything that you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. Maybe you are a fan of Freemasonry, maybe you're not. Either way, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. And today I thought maybe talk about the benefits of Masonic travel and why maybe Masonic lodges should consider funding some members to travel. Welcome. If you're just joining us, though, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you want to talk about. We had a great meeting last night in Harmony Lodge. The first lodge I ever affiliated with was actually Harmony Lodge. So that was really special and a lot of fun to be there. And we actually had some special things happen at that meeting. So it was great. And we have our official visit coming up soon also, which I'm very much looking forward to. So let's just give it a bit of time. Let's see who finds us, who can join us. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what your thoughts are on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. Answer our poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members? And if so, if you say yes or no, let me know why you voted the way you did and what your thoughts are. And if you're not a Freemason, you're still welcome to join the stream and jump in the chat. And maybe there's questions you've always had about Freemasonry that you want to ask. I'd love to know what they are. So please jump in the chat. Tomorrow I'll be having, or not tomorrow, but next week I'll be back. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, what your ideas are. I also regularly have episodes which I release about different topics. So I'm hoping to release another long form interview this weekend talking about the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. So, and a special upcoming event. Jillian the figure skater says hi. Hello, Jillian the figure skater. I hope that you are doing well. I'm guessing you're a figure skater. So welcome to the stream. Hit that like and subscribe button if you can. I'd very much appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. Um, that is what we talk about here. And it's great to have a new person on the stream. So thank you so much for joining. We're going to give it a bit more time, as always, for people to join. Um, there you go. So you got your hearing aids, it sounds like. That's good to hear. I hope that the fitting wasn't too hard. And it's nice because you don't need to have your television super loud. Although I gotta give you a heads up that Russian VDV. Hello, Russian VDV. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you will hit the like and subscribe button. By the way, oftentimes people don't know this, but there is actually a Grand Lodge of Russia in for Freemasons. The Grand Lodge of Russia is super interesting because it's very old and very new at the same time. Because there was a period under Soviet rule where Freemasonry was basically banned, and they restarted in 1992. Sebastian Bruce, I subbed. Thank you so much, Sebastian Bruce. I appreciate that. I think it seems like we got a lot of new people on the stream, which is awesome. So let me know if you guys have any questions about Freemasonry, positive, negative, or even neutral. I'd love to hear what they are. How you found the stream? Did it just show up on your feed? Maybe you're searching about Freemasonry, have questions about Freemasonry. Maybe you are a Freemason. I'd love to know more about your thoughts and ideas on Freemasonry. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we chat about Freemasonry, because that is my favorite thing to talk about. Sometimes I do the stream from my phone. Sometimes I do it through my laptop. Just kind of depends. Today, I thought we might talk about Masonic travel. More particularly, should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions on that. And if you have no idea what the poll question means, because you're not a Freemason, that's awesome as well. You can let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry, and I'd love to know. And Russian VDV, I don't know if you're in Russia or not, but because I don't know if you can even access YouTube in Russia, I forget. But there is a Grand Lodge of Russia. A good friend of mine actually visited there and visited the Grand Lodge of Russia a few months ago. I think it was in September, October. So thank you, Sebastian Bruce, for liking. Thank you, Sebastian Bruce, for subscribing. Truly appreciated. Let me know how you came across our stream. Did it just show up on your feed? Were you searching for Freemasonry? I'd love to know how you came across and found us. And let me know if you are a Freemason or not, or if you want to answer. But maybe you have some questions about Freemasonry that I can at least try my best to answer. Can't make any promises, but I have been a Freemason since 2007. I've done, I think, a fair bit of research on different topics related to Freemasonry. So hopefully I can, if nothing else, try to provide some answers based on my experiences. Same thing, Russian VDV, figure skater. I hope that you guys will hit that like and subscribe button. Also, it would be truly appreciated. As long as the Masonic event isn't for personal reasons. I mean, I suppose, but you run into the issue of it will always, to a certain extent, be for personal reasons because you're going to visit brothers, right? And hopefully the person will get some enjoyment out of it. But especially, I think, for potentially newer members getting started in their Masonic career, it could be a really amazing time and feel really great to take part in a special event and may help kickstart their Masonic career a little bit better. So, because I bring that up, yesterday, one of my lodges agreed to fund a trip for a brother to actually travel from Ontario to Manitoba for the 150th celebration of the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. So, Dad, I hope you don't mind, but you may have a second Mason joining you on April 25th. Um, because he is from Harmony, he will be also visiting the Grand Lodge and 150th celebration. Although, we there's enough room on that pull-out couch. I think we could both crash there easy enough. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you guys want to talk about. If you are a Freemason, maybe you have questions about Freemasonry based on your experiences in Lodge. If you're not a Freemason, maybe you have some questions about the craft more in general and maybe things you've heard about it, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to know. And I think once we get onto our main topic, it's going to be talking about Masonic travel. I always recommend that a new apprentice should attend an initiation ceremony ASAP after his own initiation. First, Bucharest Red, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And it's great seeing you yesterday, I guess, in person at the Masonic International Zoom. So thank you again for the invitation. I truly appreciate it. So I agree. I always recommend the same thing. I mean, I always recommend, I've said it a bunch of times. I think I've said it on this stream a bunch of times. If you, the most important thing you can do to support Freemasonry is show up to your lodge regularly and frequently. The most important thing you can do for your Masonic career and enjoyment is to visit as many lodges as you can, as regularly as you can. And you're going to get the most enjoyment out of your Masonic experience. So the question is, does it make sense for a lodge to potentially set aside a certain amount of money, however much it is, to fund travel for members to Masonic events, whether it be degrees or galas, or there could be larger events or smaller events. Obviously a lot of that will be based on how much money the lodge has initially anyways, combined with how big the lodge is, how the not convenience, but the logistics of traveling. If you're a member in, say, Thunder Bay, travel might be a lot more expensive for you than if you're a member in, say, Toronto, and the airport's right there. So that is something to keep in mind as well. But interesting, should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? 3 yes votes, 1 no vote. Oh, by the way, Bucharest Red, based on your time change, I want to remind you that I do also have a personal YouTube channel, and weekends on midnight Eastern time, I do a midnight movie watch along. So your time, it might be, I think, during the day. So you might be able to watch it. I do scary movie watch alongs. This Saturday is probably going to be Incident in a Ghostland, which is an underrated movie that I really enjoy. So maybe you can join me for that one. I'll see if I can put the link to the YouTube channel in the chat for you so you can subscribe to it if you're not already. And if you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you want to talk about. Because I don't know what midnight Eastern Standard Time would be for your time, but might be fun to hang out, watch a scary movie, all that good jazz. All right, so let's see. That is my personal YouTube channel there in the chat. You can check that one out. This one I talk about Freemasonry. That one is more just general things I like, kind of random topics, not really any specific topic. Interesting. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? 4 votes yes, 1 vote no. Charismatic Fiend is back on the stream. Welcome, Charismatic Fiend. Good morning to you as well. Or I guess good evening here, or good afternoon here. It's 1:20 p.m. here. But good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. Today we're talking about Masonic travel. More particularly, should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes or no? So far, 5 votes, 4 yeses. And if you're just joining us, we had some new people on the stream. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. This is a stream I do every Monday through Friday talking about Freemasonry. So let me know what your thoughts are on Freemasonry. Core, hello. Hey, Cameron, hello, chat. Hey, Core, how's it going? Have you done your interview yet with High Altitude Investing and Dallin? Because that's coming out soon, right? East is 7. So basically, when I do my stream at midnight, it'll be 7 a.m. your time. So there you go. So get up a little bit early. You can hang out with us if you so desire. Hopefully soon. He's just checking it out now. But hopefully it will be released very soon. And once it is, I will put it on all my social media channels, etc., etc. Maybe even send an email blast. Today at 3 Eastern is recording. So there you go. I look forward to seeing that when it comes out. I'll make sure to share it. It's great that you were on his and he was on yours. And by the way, Core, if you're looking for other people to be on your stream, I would suggest Bucharest Red. He is a Mason who has written about Freemasonry. He has a lot of valuable insights into the craft and what Freemasonry can kind of mean. So maybe Bucharest Red might be worth checking out. Masonic greeting chat rooms. Greeting, Courtney. I hope that you are doing well. It is great to have you back on the stream as always. Thank you so much for being here. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes, 5 votes, no, 1 vote. If you voted yes, let me know maybe why you voted yes or no, what your thoughts are on the question. If you have any questions you want to expand on that. Or any thoughts you have on the question, I would love to hear them. And to anybody new who's just joining us, thank you so much for being here. We had some new people on. So he's in the chat right now. Core, please leave the link to your channel. I don't know if Core will be able to or not. Usually in the stream, they are not a big fan of people leaving links, but I can leave a link because it's my stream. So let me, and I'm subscribed. It's at Black Raven Meditation on YouTube, but let me leave it here for you. There you go. That's the link to Black Raven Meditation. Anybody who's on this stream right now, looks like there's 9 people watching at the moment. Hit that link and go and subscribe to her channel and leave a few likes on her stuff and check out my interview with her as well as her interview with me. They're both excellent. Hey everyone, I hope all is well. Douglas Marks, I hope everything is well with you also. Thank you so much for being here. In case anybody's curious on the poll, 7 votes look like 6 yes, 1 no. So if you voted yes as to why Masonic lodges should fund travel for members, let me know why you voted yes. Or for that matter, let me know why you voted no. To the 1 person so far who voted no. By the way, just because it's 1 vote no, doesn't mean that it's not you might have some very, very valid reasons for voting. No, I'm sure you do, and I'd love to hear what they are. Maybe you will get some other people to switch it over and be on your side. And in the meantime, as always, I'm just kind of waiting for some more people to join. Usually, half an hour to 1 hour in is when the people start to show up. So please hit like, please hit subscribe. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you want to chat about. Uh, the again, I think today my topic, once we get on the main topic, is going to be Masonic travel. More specifically, whether or not lodges should fund travel for its members and the benefits and downsides. You're so good at this stuff. I appreciate that, Cora, and you're great at it as well. I've seen your numbers seem to be going up, so congratulations on that. Whenever I see another one of your clips, it seems to be going up quite a bit, which is great to see. Um, I chose Masonic Should Fund because it encouraged more group funding and less trusted funds for members. So good answer. I agree that it will encourage, like it becomes a feedback loop, right? Where it's like you go to an event, you enjoy it, that encourages more people to go to an event, they enjoy it. Potentially, they're willing to then join more lodges to increase funding, and then less stress because you have more people joining and more people funding it overall. What's your favorite food when you go to the youth fair? Um, Honestly, youth fairs, like any type of fair or carnival or like I love carnivals, I love fairs, I love amusement parks. I genuinely love all that stuff, maybe because I love scary movies and carnivals are a very oftentimes featured in scary movies, so I love them. So I love carnival food so much. Back in the day, um, and this does make me very sad, but I'll get over it. But right across from where I live, like literally 2 minutes away, if that, or 2 seconds away, if that, there is a carnival that sets up every summer. And they used to have at that carnival a stand or a booth that sold mini donuts with like cinnamon sugar on them. And I managed to work it out with the people at the booth that they would open it up for me early before I went to work just to give me a dozen donuts and coffee. So I would have a dozen donuts and coffee before I went to work. Then when I got back from work, I'd go back, get another dozen donuts with coffee. And then in the evening, around 9 or 10, I would go back to the festival and get another dozen donuts with coffee. So I would have 3 dozen mini donuts with 3 large coffees. I loved that food so much. But sadly, the last couple years, when the carnival has been in town, and I still love going to it, they don't have the mini donuts anymore. And that makes me very sad because I genuinely love those mini donuts. But I also love hot dogs, hamburgers, cheeseburgers. I just love festivals and carnivals. One of my definitely most favorite things. A lot could depend on lodge finances, says Harry. Yes, Dad, a lot could depend, and that is a huge issue. And I agree, lodges may not have the money to do it. But maybe if the reason they don't have the money to do it is because they don't have members, if they can get those members, because there's travel options, maybe that will increase lodge funding. Who knows? And if they're in a doom spiral where they every year they have less and less money, maybe it's worth blowing some on trips just to try something different and new. Because what do they have to lose? If their finances are such they're going to go dark in 10 years, why not blow all the money but have a lot of fun and go dark in 7? And maybe in the process of that, you might actually turn things around and grow the craft. Who knows? Cameron, you and Core had an excellent episode. I agree. I loved it. I loved having Core on the channel. Would you guys be linking again? I mean, I hope so. Sure, certainly, it's great to have Core on the live streams here, but I'd be happy to be back on her channel and she's welcome back on my channel as well. Douglas Marks, nice, love cinnamon. Yeah, cinnamon sugar donuts are the bomb. They're so good. If anybody who's watching this, especially if you're from Windsor, wants to start a petition to bring back the cinnamon donuts at if they call it the Freedom Fest, which I don't know why, but at the Carnival World's Finest Shows, please do so. I will sign that. I will start that petition if I get people to sign it. Because you don't know how wonderful it was to eat 3 dozen donuts a day and 3 large coffees. Although I will say, based on my doctor saying I have high cholesterol, part of me is wondering if my doctor wrote a letter to the World's Fair or its World's Finest Shows telling them that they needed to get rid of their mini donuts because it was not doing any help for my cholesterol. I'm not putting it past my doctor to do that. So, but we can bring it back. So that's my favorite. Actually, I think I used to argue that we should Mason should be more involved in festivals, having booths and stuff where they can hand out information to the public. Maybe hand out donuts or something themselves, but hand out information to the public about Freemasonry because they're a great chance to meet a lot of people. It's called the Transcona High Neighbor Festival. This year is on June 8th. I was there last year for it. I got to be home last year, June 8th, for the festival. I forget why I was there. It's either for wrestling or masonry. Um, or was it to visit mom? I don't remember, but I remember being at the festival and thinking it was really cool and really fun. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Genuinely, I love festivals, carnivals, fairs. They are without a doubt some of my favorite places to be. So, and probably is because I love scary movies so much, and so many scary movies take place in festivals and carnivals, right? Like I can't even think of them all. Carnival of Souls, um, Us, um, um, Texas Chainsaw 3D. I'll always know what you did or no, I still know what you did last summer. When a Stranger Calls starts at one of those, the remake. Um, Dr. Giggles, Child's Play Part 3. All of those movies don't take place in necessarily, but involve or have scenes in carnivals. So maybe that's why I love them so much. Who knows? Welcome if you're just joining us. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Answer our poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? 7 votes. Looks like 6 yes, 1 no, which is really interesting. Um, so that's really cool to see everybody voting yay or primarily voting yes. Although people voted no, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well. If you're new to the channel, please hit like, please hit subscribe. We had a couple of new people in at the start who said they subscribed, which is great to see. As always, give it, an hour about for the audience to find me, and then we start on our specific topics. Today, like I said, Masonic travel, its benefits, but also maybe the benefit of having Masonic lodges cover the travel. It could have been. That is possible as to when it was. Um, so yeah, maybe that's when it was. But I remember being there for that and going to the festival and liking the very much liking all the food. So that was fun. Maybe this year, if I make it back for the High Neighbor Festival, who knows? I will jump on some of the rides. Although, having said that, I'll be back home April 25th, and I may have another Mason from Harmony Lodge in tow, so we shall see. Thank you, everybody who has joined us so far. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are here chatting about Freemasonry. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Today we have our poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? I'd love to get your thoughts on that. And if you're not a Freemason, but you just kind of found our stream, but you have questions about Freemasonry, this is a great place to ask. I can't make any guarantees. I don't know the answer, but I have been a Mason since 2007, and I at least like to think I know some answers or have learned a few things in the past almost 20 years, which is crazy. So, and then on weekends, I will sometimes have another episode to release, which I always enjoy doing, as well as Medium articles, Medium stories, which always work great as well. So yeah, Cameron, what's your favorite place to live in Canada? I mean, I grew up in Winnipeg, so obviously I have to show love to Winnipeg. I lived in Ottawa for approximately 2 years straight and then visited regularly. So I have to give a huge shout out to Ottawa as well. Um, and I have lived in Windsor, Ontario since basically 2006, with a couple of brief, brief stays back in Ottawa. So it really is a three-way race between Winnipeg, Ottawa, and Windsor. But I'm gonna go with Windsor just because I've been here since 2006, and there's a lot of really amazing things about this city. A lot of things that oftentimes, in my opinion, gets overlooked, which is really unfortunate. It's but Ottawa has some absolutely incredible buildings, architecture, parks, because it's the national capital, 'cause it's the capital of Canada, right? So there's so many like parks and trails and beautiful buildings. Um, it's pretty incredible, and it's pretty hard not to love Ottawa. And then Winnipeg, it's very cold in winter, very hot in summer, but there's something special about the town, right? Kind of because it feels like an oasis. It's like, there's nothing for there's Regina, then there's nothing for 6 hours, then there's Winnipeg, then there's nothing for 8 hours, then there's Thunder Bay. Winnipeg kind of feels like a little oasis of civilization, and it's surrounded by a lot of nothing. So it kind of it brings people together. Winnipeg has a really small town mentality, even though it's about 750,000 people. It also has the best burgers in Canada, VJ's Restaurant. Years ago, I traveled to Grandmaster to Manitoba to visit three lodges. Yeah, you told me about that. I think, see, trips like that, is it worth a lodge putting aside some money to sponsor a member to travel with the Grand Master to help cover the cost of his trip in terms of things like hotel rooms, or if he needs an extra seat on the bus, does it cost money? Because Northern Manitoba, I'm sure that would be a pretty incredible experience, especially for a new or a newer Mason to be able to travel and take part in those trips, right? They'd be a lot of fun. So, um, I think it's worth exploring that, right? And like just for you in your experience, would you say that those trips meant for you in terms of your Masonic career? Did you enjoy it? Did you get a lot out of it? Was it fun? Right? Like I think that has to be, something to keep in mind is it worth the treating, instead of thinking about it just as spending money, is it worth it in terms of um, a member may experience in terms of Masonic growth and Masonic, maybe reinvigorate an interest in the craft? Winnipeg is only 4 hours north of Grand Forks in the USA. Yeah, but even 4 hours, like here in Windsor, 2 hours, you've got London, 4 hours, you've got Toronto, 5 minutes, you've got Detroit. I was talking to a friend of mine who was a touring musician, and he was saying that like Winnipeg was always this weird part of the tour where it was like you're in Saskatchewan, you do a couple shows, and then it's like a very long drive to Winnipeg, you do a show, and then another very long drive to get to, let's say, Thunder Bay. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We also have I talked about this yesterday a little bit. We have the tariffs taking place, um, which is, I guess Dow plunges 1,900 points after China retaliates against tariffs. Again, the economy matters to Freemasons, right? It has to. Kind of at the end of the day, we're still people. We're still being affected by what's happening in the market. A lot of Masons are near retirement age. If they can't retire due to economic challenges, will that affect their ability to take part in lodge? A lot of lodges have investments in the stock market. That's how they fund a lot of their special events. Is that going to affect the lodge's ability to hold events? Let's see. U.S. stocks were battered by sell-off Friday after China retaliated against the United States for President Donald Trump's tariffs in a tit-for-tat that escalates the global trade war. The Dow was lower by 1,900 points, or 4.6%. The broader S&P 500 was 5.2% lower. The tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite was 5.3% lower. Investors have been fearful that a dramatic escalation of a trade war could plunge the U.S. and global economies into a recession. J.P. Morgan analyst said Thursday that America's economy and the broader world economy both had a 60% chance of sinking into a recession this year. The analyst also said that odds of recession would rise if countries begin to retaliate against the U.S. And China did so Friday. Retaliation raises the risk of further escalation and could diminish the hopes for negotiation. I mean, and the thing to keep in mind about that as well is, or the danger to keep in mind of that as well, is you look at Freemasonry numbers wise in America. In the 1920s, you had massive growth. And in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, you had a massive decline in members, as well as lodge buildings, as well as lodges basically going bankrupt or going dark because they couldn't pay their bills. So that was during the Depression. I don't think we're going to hit a depression, but these tariffs, economic wins, positive or negative, definitely affect the ability of Freemasonry and Masonic lodges to function well, to attract new members, to maintain their members, etc., etc. The USA is south of Canada here in the prairies. Canada is south of the USA in your part of the world. It is. We are south of America. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Answer our poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes or no? Looks like we've got 7 votes so far. 6 yes, 1 no, it looks like. And as always, though, jump in the chat, say hello, let me know what it is that you guys want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. And as always, going to give it a bit more time to see some more audience members potentially join. Before I start talking, today's topic again, Masonic travel and the benefits of Freemason or Masonic lodges covering the cost of or paying for travel by members. Sebastian Bruce is back once again. Hello, Sebastian. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for being here on the stream. Let me know if you are as I said, this is a stream we talk about Freemasonry. Let me know if you're a Freemason. If you're not, if you have any questions about Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to try to answer them for you. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, or thereabouts 1 p.m. Eastern, where we chat about Freemasonry. So let me know what your thoughts are. And I'll do my best to try to answer them. So when you say no, I'm assuming that means you're not a Freemason. Do you have any questions about Freemasonry that I can try to answer? Or anything else you want to talk about? Honestly, with these streams, it's just a chance to hang out, meet my audience, learn more about what they want to see me discuss. So anything you want to see me discuss, let me know. When you say no, I guess it means no questions. So no worries. I just appreciate you being here. Like I said, eventually, usually about an hour in, I'll start on my specific topic. Today, it's going to be Masonic Lodges funding travel for members to Masonic events. What's interesting, I'm just reading this article from CNN talking about the tariffs because, again, Masonic Lodges and Masons are affected by the economy as much as we sometimes like to pretend we're not. It affects us just as much as it affects everything else and everyone else. Markets may actually be underreacting, especially if these rates turn out to be final, given the potential knock-on effects of global consumption and trade, said Matt Burdett, head of equities at Thornburg Investment Management. The tariffs have injected a level of uncertainty and volatility we haven't seen since the early days of the pandemic. U.S. stocks briefly rallied from their lowest point in the morning after Trump posted on social media that he had a very productive call with To Lam, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. Lam told me that Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero if they are able to make an agreement with the U.S. I thanked him on behalf of our country and said I look forward to meeting in the near future. Sebastian Bruce, I love it. Well, it's great to have you. I love the fact that you are here as well, Sebastian. Nike, which slumped Thursday, rallied 5%. Nike relies extensively on international supply chains and imports from Vietnam, where many of its factories are located. Yet stocks eventually slid back near their low of the day as investors grappled with the extent of Trump's tariffs and the potential for a slowdown in economic growth. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said during prepared remarks Friday that inflation could remain elevated because of Trump's tariffs. While uncertainty remains elevated, it is now becoming clear that the tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. The same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth, said Powell, who spoke at an event just outside of Washington, D.C. The size and duration of these effects remain uncertain. Tariff anxiety roils Wall Street. Investors Friday morning, I guess this morning, wrestled with tariff anxiety while also digesting fresh data that showed stronger than expected job growth in March. That's a good sign. The U.S. economy added 228,000 jobs in March, a significant increase from February's revised gains of 117,000, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So that is good. We're very happy to see the job growth going up. And again, that's going to matter to Freemasonry, right? If people are able to find jobs that pay them well, they're going to have more money and more time to be able to dedicate themselves to Freemasonry. So again, I know that I've kind of said this a million times. People kind of get maybe sick of it sometimes, but you cannot separate the success of a Masonic lodge from the success of the community in which it's located. And that includes success as it relates to the economic success of the community, as well as the social success, low crime rates, all that stuff. The more success you have, the better the Masonic Lodge will be, which is why Masons and Freemasonry needs to care about and pay attention to what's happening with economies, both at a local stage as well as a Grand Lodge stage. Here in Manitoba, we have a lot of snowbirds who spend winter in southern states. A few of them are selling up. There's been a lot of talk of Canadians refusing to travel to the States while these um, tariffs are in place. I am not one of those. I'm going to continue traveling to the States. I've said it a million times. Canada is the greatest country in the world because we have the greatest neighbor in the world. But I understand why a lot of Canadians do feel kind of hurt by what they're seeing in the States, talk of the 51st state, things like that, and why that is pushing a lot of Canadians not to travel, including Canadian Masons. Mike Wilson, welcome, Mike Wilson. I'm not sure if you've been on the stream before. If you haven't, it's good to see you here. Joe Biden, greatest jobs president in American history, 22 million jobs. I mean, I personally am, or was, I guess, a fan of Joe Biden as a president. I'm from Canada, so obviously I can't vote. I don't get a say. But I did think Joe Biden did a good job under very challenging circumstances. So, yeah. But welcome, Mike. If you can, hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Let me know how you came across our stream. Vote in our poll. Let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to know. What's interesting about Joe Biden is there's a question as to whether he is or is not a Freemason. I think he is. I think the presentation that was made on January 19th, excuse me, by the Prince Hall Mason of South Carolina constitutes as making him a Freemason, but there's debate in that amongst the craft. 8 votes. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for Masonic events? Looks like we're at 7 yeses and 1 no. I was expecting to get more no votes, to be honest. So if you voted yes, let me know why you maybe voted yes. If you voted no, let me know why you voted no. And otherwise, let me know how you're doing. Going back to this article I was reading, while job growth beat expectations, tariff angst continues to drive market sentiment. Unfortunately, the market is no longer responding to the jobs report. Unfortunately, the market is no longer focused on the jobs market and focused squarely on tariffs and trade wars as the U.S. plays chicken with the rest of the world, potentially beginning a downward spiral into worldwide recession, said Chris Zaccarelli, Chief Investment Officer at Northlight Asset Management. Traders ditched risky stocks, especially tech companies whose products are manufactured overseas and could soon be subject to enormous tariffs. Apple, which tumbled more than 9% Thursday, was down another 4% Friday. As stock futures tumbled ahead of the opening bell, Trump posted on social media, "To the many investors coming into the United States and investing mass amounts of money, my policies will never change. This is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before." And as investors sold stocks, they poured money into additional safe havens, including government bonds and gold. The 10-year Treasury yield, which briefly fell below 4% Thursday for the first time since October, fell firmly below 4% Friday as investors bought bonds to insulate themselves from a potential economic downturn. Bond prices and yields trade in opposite directions. Gold prices surged above 3,130 an ounce, so maybe a good time to invest in gold, I guess. China announced a sweeping 34% tariffs on all U.S. goods starting April 10th. Major escalation of a trade war that has been raging for years between the world's 2 largest economies. But the tit-for-tat escalation kicked into high gear after Trump took office for the second time in January. Trump in February placed an additional 10% tariff on all Chinese goods imported to the U.S. and doubled that rate to 20% in March. On Wednesday, Trump announced that tariffs in China would increase to 54%. That on top of existing import taxes, which he and former President Joe Biden already had in place to the country. So the effective tariff rate America imposes on Chinese goods will be well above 54% starting April 9th. Markets have been on edge. The Russell 2000, which tracks similar companies, entered a bear market Thursday. Stocks tumbled all over the world Friday. European and UK stocks were down more than 3%, on pace for their worst performance in years. On Thursday, the Dow fell more than 1,600 points, or nearly 4%. The S&P 500 fell nearly 5%, and the Nasdaq plunged nearly 6%. Each of the three major indexes recorded its worst performance in about 5 years since the pandemic. Thursday's plunge erased 2.5 trillion in market value from the US stock market. This is just the tip of the spear. Next is going to be retaliation from the EU and other nations. Banks, airlines, and other service firms are going to get targeted, said RSM Joe Bruselas. The Chinese are calling Trump's bluff. So, as somebody who knows very little about the economy or the economics of it all, I have said, I'll say again, I think it's important that Freemasons pay attention to these things, because as the economy is positive or negative, those will have downstream effects on Freemasonry, on civic and civil life in general, and on Freemasonry more particularly. Welcome if you're just joining us. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Jump in the chat and let me know, do you want to talk, or what questions do you have about Freemasonry, or what are your thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear it. Around the hour mark of this stream, so another 10 minutes or so, we'll start talking about kind of specific topics. In this case today, it's going to be talking about Masonic travel and whether or not Masonic lodges should potentially fund Masonic travel for its members. Either a large group of members, a few members, whatever it might be. But I think that stuff is really important to talk about, because I think, it might be worth Masonic lodges thinking about everything that they can do to encourage travel amongst their membership. I think it's unfortunate that we're not seeing nearly the travel that in our Masonic lodges that I'd hope we would. Trending wise, we still have stock market crash trending, according to my Twitter/X feed, 41,000 posts under business and finance. Machine learn. Another day with stock market crash because of Trump, says Josh. This week has been a happy moment for the bears, short sellers. Very true. Oh, we got Rondo. Rondo, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, as always. Providing for travel fund for members to participate in Masonic events seems like a practical expression of brotherhood. I may be wrong, though. Well, we could always maybe be wrong, but... And I like what you say there is actually a travel fund. So maybe if lodges increase their dues, $20 a member, whatever it is, but put that increase aside in a travel fund for members. It's very interesting. And it might, again, I like you said, I like the way you described that, Rondo. I think it's a really good way to put it. A practical expression of brotherhood. I really like that as a way to describe even what is Masonic travel, right? Masonic travel, you could define it as a practical expression of brotherhood, because far too often it's far too easy for us to we say we have brotherly love, but how often do we express it, and how often is that expressed in a practical way? So I think that's a really valid point. So thank you, Rondo, for that. And Rondo, let me know how you're doing. I hope that you are doing well. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. Vote in the live stream and let me know how you are doing. Do Masons ever help each other out financially if needed? If so, how do they decide how to or who to assist and why? So they do. I mean, speaking generally, because lodges will have different kind of protocols depending on the jurisdiction. But speaking generally, most lodges have what's called a benevolence fund, which is money set aside for a brother who may be in need. Maybe he lost his job, had a medical expense, had who knows what it would be. They'll have some type of benevolence fund. There's usually a benevolence chairperson who will receive the request, and he has to keep it confidential. Like he can let people know there's been a request and how much the request was for, but he cannot. He has to be confidential who made the request for obvious reasons because we don't embarrass any brothers. Um, and then the chairman will usually be the one to investigate and determine if it's a legitimate request, and then if it is a legitimate request, send the money to him. And then usually there's different levels. So there'll be the lodge itself will provide funding or help. And then if that's not sufficient, the brother can actually go and make a request to either the district or even the Grand Lodge jurisdiction. And in the same way, he explains the situation, explain why he needs the money, what his finances are like, and then he'll kind of go from there. So, um, yeah, no, Masons do help each other out. We have a whole lecture about the idea of charity. And, it doesn't just have to be a Mason himself. It can be, a Masonic widow or it can be a Masonic widow, kids, family members in general. It can be all that stuff. So, um, I think that that is a really important question. But that does, again, one of the challenges that you face is, okay, how do you make sure that you have enough money for a travel fund as well as a benevolence fund, as well as you paying all your regular bills as well as refreshments, as well as special events. That can be a major challenge for lodges, and sometimes you have to make decisions as to what's more important. And certainly, I think it's fair to say that most lodges would say benevolence is more important than travel and making sure you have money for benevolence, but maybe you can do both. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you want to talk about. Well, so I mean, becoming ill, Courtney, is one of the reasons that a lodge may give out money. But and then different lodges will have different abilities, right? So, for example, um, some lodges, if they just don't have a lot of funds or they're relatively, more modest of means, they may not have a benevolence fund. They may just not have the money to give out. Or they may do so very privately. A lot of Masonic lodges, obviously, you have to keep it confidential, right? So if I approach a lodge and say I need money to pay my rent, they're not going to tell anybody that, I need the money or it was me. They may make an announcement in lodge saying a brother in need requested $500 to pay his rent, but they're not going to say which brother it was or make a big show of the donation. So they may have given out money, but done so very privately and very secretly. Um, you know, which is, I think, obviously it's the right way to go because it can be, unfortunately, um, embarrassing for some members to request benevolence, even though it shouldn't be. Life happens, but they can be embarrassed, and they may be less willing to request it if people are saying it. So there may have been many instances where the lodge gave out money, but just, it was kept private versus maybe when they were ill, there's a bit more of a show of it because, the brother wanted to say thank you. Who knows? But very good points, Courtney. We got one more vote, on the poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? 9 votes. Looks like 8 yes, 1 no. Fellow? I'm going to go with fellow. Thank you so much for being here, fellow. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you for finding me. What are your thoughts on $80 Switch games? Honestly, fellow, I am not a gamer at all, so I really don't have a lot of great thoughts on that. I will say I love. So for years, I didn't play video games at all. But I loved scary movies and horror movies. And a friend of mine told me about horror themed video games, which I didn't know even existed except for Resident Evil. So I ended up buying for cheap a PlayStation 3, and I bought a bunch of horror themed games like Dead Space is my favorite. And so I became obsessed with for a while, playing Dead Space or the Dead's Space, Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Fear, I became obsessed with. And then I also got into Assassin's Creed number 3 because it features the Freemasons so prominently. And I obviously love Freemasonry, and that's what this channel is all about, Freemasonry. I even posted a few clips of me playing Assassin's Creed Part 3, and specifically the Masonic parts of it. And I just started playing Dead Space once again. I still just have the PS3, so I haven't had the chance yet to play it on the PS5, but I kind of really want to do so because, like I said, I just love the Dead Space games. And I also really enjoyed Resident Evil quite a bit. So I hope that answered your question, fellow. I wish I could give more. $80 for Switch games sounds like a lot. I will say that. It sounds like a lot of money for a video game. It's interesting how the Umbrella Corporation utilizes the Maltese cross as their logo in Resident Evil. I did not know that, Rondo. I thought it was an actual umbrella. Or is that what a Maltese cross is? That is really cool, though, now that you bring that up. That is really, really cool. So thank you for mentioning that. Well, now I'm curious. I want to check this out. I have not. I've seen the movies for Silent Hill, but I've never played the games, but I kind of want to. It's on my list. I played Hard Rain, which was fun. Like I said, I never got super into video games, but I go in and out of them. And I'd say my favorite is probably Dead Space 2 or Dead Space 3. Though again, Assassin's Creed, mentioning Freemasonry so frequently, Assassin's Creed Part 3, I do love that. You're right. The Umbrella Corporation's logo does look very, very similar to the Maltese cross. So that's kind of cool. And plus, we talk about travel. The thing I love about video games is you can travel, to faraway lands, or the USS Ishimura around, Saturn or whatever it was, or Jupiter. I forget. I can't remember where the Ishimura was located. Or, the second game where you're around Saturn. So that is really cool. You can kind of travel far away in distant lands without ever leaving your home. 10 votes. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes, 80%. So we got 8 votes yes, 2 votes no. If you're just joining us, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Answer our poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? And let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. If you're not a Freemason, welcome to the stream. I do these streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Freemasonry. If you are a Freemason, maybe you have questions about it, or thoughts, or ideas, or comments, I would absolutely love to hear what they are. And thank you to everybody in my audience who's been joining me so far. It's great to be developing what seems to be a really fun audience and community here in the stream. We did have some new people on the stream today. Fellow asking, what are your thoughts on $80 Switch games? Like I said, that seems like a lot. That's what I'll say. It seems like a very, very large amount of money. So I'd rather it not be that much. Though maybe it would be worth me spending more time on Switch, because I understand you can stream games, maybe even stream me playing Assassin's Creed 3, so we can see the Masonic connections in that game, which is really, really cool. 11 votes. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes is at 82%, no is at 18%. So the yeses are still well in the lead, which honestly makes me happy but surprises me. I thought no would have had way more votes than yes. I'm a yes. The reason is, I think that the ability to travel, or not even the ability, just traveling is one of the most important things a Mason can do for his or her, mentioning Order of Freemasons. One of the most important things a Mason can do for his Masonic experience, but also it is one of the most valuable things he can do for his lodge, because when you travel to a different event, you see Freemasonry and the way it runs at that event. So you could get some different ideas about how to run an event, or you get some different ideas about things that a lodge is doing, let's say in Winnipeg, that you can bring with you to Windsor. Or you can get inspired to try something different, or you can meet Masons who have advice. Maybe it could be either advice of things that they did well that you can apply to your lodge, or mistakes that they made, right? But you're never going to get those perspectives, and you're never going to learn those things if you don't have people traveling and then bringing back with them what they learned and discussing what they learned. And so I do think it's not even, it's a fun, but it's an investment. And if you invest that money in a member traveling, the return you get is a new perspective on the craft, new ideas to bring to your lodge, excitement about traveling to the lodge, and excitement about being part of the lodge, and excitement about being part of Freemasonry. I understand that for many lodges, they may not have the financial capability to fund travel necessarily, but that might mean they have to increase their dues and take that increase, put it in a separate fund specifically for travel. And again, like, would it be worth it? A lot of Masonic groups and bodies may say no, but to me, we have to be willing to start spending a little bit more money on the craft in order to make the experience more enjoyable, more fulfilling, and more of an investment for our membership. If we don't do that, we run a real risk of, I think, losing momentum, or even more so. I mean, I've read articles where they think, Freemasonry may not exist past 2040. I disagree with that, but I do think it's going to continue dropping until it's no longer relevant, unless we take some pretty big swings and try some new things that we maybe haven't tried in the past. Cameron, shouldn't Masonic travel fees be covered through Masonic membership fees? So, I mean, that's one option to do it, obviously, and that's the one that makes the most sense. um, Courtney, which is, if I pay $100 a year, a percentage of that goes to a fund that can help cover the cost of travel for brothers. The problem is, if your fees are so low, your fees may just cover your dues, your the fees may just cover all the administrative costs and maybe a couple bucks for food, as opposed to covering the cost for travel. So you need to increase your fees, which would be the issue, I think, Courtney, right? It's like, can you convince people to increase their fees to cover those costs? What if lodges exclusively provided apprentices and fellowcraft for travel accommodations? That's a interesting way and very interesting idea, Rondo. And that, I think, there's a really good argument to be made for that, I think. First, most lodges don't have a ton of EAs and fellowcrafts anyways, so it probably would not be that expensive, relatively speaking. And maybe it would give them a little bit of a kickstart their Masonic career, or give them some more enthusiasm right off the bat, because we're giving them this opportunity to travel and learn more about the craft, and that may help stoke some of those fires early on and encourage them to stay active and stay involved in the craft. And again, because they're starting their Masonic career, it may give them some ideas at the start that they can then potentially, or hopefully, pick your term, apply in their Masonic career when they become an officer, when they become a warden, and when they become a master. So I think that's a really interesting idea and approach to take, Rondo, and potentially a really good one. The other option would be, maybe it's more of a master's thing, because, or even a warden's thing, because I've found, and other people, Igor, my good friend, has talked about this a lot. The most important time to travel Masonically is when you are a junior and senior warden, because that way you're meeting people and getting ideas that can help you when you become a master. So the other option is making travel, provide travel for the wardens to get to meet more people, help, set up relationships that they can use to help, or for help with people, as well as get ideas that they can then take to their year in the East. So maybe wardens is one idea. Entered apprentice and fellowcraft is another idea. I don't know. Both of those are really interesting thoughts. But thank you, Rondo, for the idea. I think it's definitely worth exploring. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? Yes, 83%. No, 17%. 12 votes so far. So thank you to everybody who has taken the time to vote. Please hit that like button and subscribe button, and let me know, as always, what it is that you want to talk about. When it comes to Freemasonry, it can be positive, negative, or neutral. I'm happy to hear any ideas. Let me know what you think of Rondo's idea. I think it's a really interesting and potentially a really strong one, to have a travel fund specifically for fellowcraft and entered apprentices. And could be, again, maybe a way to ensure you're not overextending lodge finances, because most lodges have less EAs and FCs than any other rank, certainly less than Master Masons. And it may help start their Masonic career on a more exciting foot, or whatever it might be. Um, any tips for aspiring Freemasons who are travel heavy? Well, if you're traveling for work anyways, then we all have these beautiful things now called smartphones, or most of us do, and you know you're traveling anyway. So take a few minutes on Google, search for Masonic lodges where you're traveling for work and see if you can spend a few moments stopping by the building. Even if they don't have a meeting, see if you can at least go and stop by. There might be somebody hanging out there for coffee or a social event or a function, and you can always hang out for those. Make sure you have your dues card with you. Make sure you have a letter from your secretary with you. Make sure you're budgeting your time so you can do your work commitments as well as visitation. Um, and yeah, don't be afraid to just go up and even just knock on the door. You don't always have to visit. Visit doesn't always have to mean attend a meeting. Sometimes visitation can mean tour a building, have a coffee, take part in a social event, take part in mentoring. All that stuff can be a very valuable and important part of travel and a necessary part of travel. I mean, EA and FC is kind of like probationary period from my understanding. Essentially, the rewards of their lodge until they become masters themselves. No? Well, so kind of. Um, I don't view it that way, but there are a lot of lodges who do. Um, so when you join Freemasonry, you become an entered apprentice. Then you progress through the second degree, which is a learning experience, and you become a fellow craft. Then you progress to your third degree, which is Master Mason. So EA and FC are the first two degrees. When it comes to the EA and FC, I don't view it as probationary because they are Masons. Like they're not probationary Masons, but it's more of a chance for them to be learning before they become Master Masons. Because once you're a Master Mason, that's when you are able to take an office in your lodge, and that's when you kind of have more responsibilities for actually running the lodge potentially. The interesting thing though is in Canada and Ontario, entered apprentices take part in business meetings and can vote on motions, whereas in the States, at the fellowcraft, EA and fellowcraft level, usually they cannot do those things. They can't actually vote on motions or take part in business meetings. So there is a little bit of a difference there as well. So they are more kind of probationary Masons in some senses in the States than they are here in Canada. Though I think that really is changing even in the States, and there's more of a push to involve EAs and FCs at an earlier period, if that made any sense. But again, there is a real challenge with people joining, becoming entered apprentice, and then not sticking around. And maybe one way to avoid that is to get them traveling early in their Masonic career to potentially light a fire in them when it comes to Freemasonry. One thing I found interesting is the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. He became a Mason in 1995. One of his earliest visits was to Transcona Lodge, which in 1995, my father was the worshipful master of that lodge. So that's a really interesting connection there. It's funny how over time you see these connections grow in Freemasonry. Probationary in the sense of an apprentice builder. Well, that's where the term comes from. Yeah, they're an apprentice. Kind of it comes from stonemasonry, where really they're not able to, or they're not supposed to. I mean, it gets complicated if you've had an entered apprentice for 30, 40 years, but they're not really supposed to teach others or provide advice to others on how to be a Freemason. Oftentimes in the States, they're not able to vote or take part in business meetings. But again, I feel like that is kind of going more and more to the wayside in many situations. So, but no, I think that's a good way to put it. What are the financial obligations for members of the Masons? How much are dues and where does the money go? So that's a tough question because that is going to be lodge by lodge. Every lodge will set its own um, financial obligations as well as payments. I mean, usually, I can say in my experience, usually you pay your dues once, and that covers the entire year. There are some brothers, maybe they have financial challenges, who will request to pay monthly. Um, The money goes to all the different things that money is necessary for when it comes to, any organization. So any expenses related to the building where you meet, any expenses related to refreshments or, food or beverages before after lodge. If you want to hold a special event, like maybe you want to have a baseball game or something, you need to, rent the field. It could go to charitable or benevolence funds. It could go to support travel for a brother, like we're talking about here, and administrative fees, right? So if you are in Ontario, part of your fees, your dues go to paying a fee to the Grand Lodge, as well as a fee to your building, as well as a fee to your district. So really, Courtney, there's a lot of different. There's going to be a lot of variation. I will say I'm a member of 5 lodges, and my financial obligations range from $100 a year to approximately $200 a year. So it is, relatively speaking, very inexpensive compared to other organizations on average, which probably needs to change if Freemasonry is going to survive, and if Freemasonry wants to do things like cover the cost of travel for its members. If you are just joining us, though, as always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you want to talk about. We do these streams every Monday through Friday. At 1 p.m. Eastern, or just about. If you guys have anything specific you want to talk about, or if you have any more thoughts about my poll question, as I said, I think for me there are so many benefits to travel for a member and what he can then bring back to the lodge, that it seems to me crazy, or it seems to me like it would be a very good investment that you get crazy returns on by supporting Masonic travel and supporting Freemasons as they travel, whether they are entered apprentices, fellow crafts, or maybe even wardens traveling. Welcome. If you're just joining, though, please hit the like and subscribe button. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we chat about Freemasonry. So need you to hit that like button, need you to hit that subscribe button. Oh, Acadian 11 Shepherd. It's been a little while, I think, since you've been on a stream. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here, as always. Good day to you as well. Let me know if you can hit that like button yet. If you voted in our poll, if you have any thoughts on the poll or any thoughts on Freemasonry that you want to share, I'd love to hear them. And as always, though, we have got 12 votes so far. Looks like the yeses are in the lead a little bit, or in the lead quite a bit, which surprises me but makes me happy, because I think I was expecting more of a potential, more no's than yeses. So, I mean, there's no rush, Courtney. You got the application, so that's what matters. But there's no rush in terms of when you put it in. And if you can't afford it, then that's okay. You can't afford it, right? You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're financially in the hole because of joining Freemasonry, because that's not going to help anybody. Because that's just going to cause you stress in your Masonic experience, and you're not going to get as much out of it as you could potentially otherwise. Right? Which is not obviously something anybody wants. We never want to get to a point where we're causing, if we're causing brothers stress in any way. I mean, sometimes that's necessary. That's part of it. If you're doing something important, something that matters, there's going to be a level of stress that comes with that, and I think that's okay. But if you're being put in a situation of financial stress because you become a Freemason, that is going to affect your ability to enjoy your Masonic experience, which you want to keep that in mind as well. If you're just joining us, though, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you want to chat about. Actually, I just discovered on these streams there is something new where I guess you can do like a take a break option, which I'm not quite sure how to do that yet. I should have looked at that beforehand, but I'm curious. Good. I'm glad your uncle is working with you. I hope that your uncle is doing well, and it's great to see that he is working with you. As always, if you're just joining us, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think of the poll question, and let me know if there's anything that you want to talk about. It's great to see some new people joining us, especially at the start of the stream, as well as some people coming on who haven't seen for a little while. So that has been wonderful. So thank you so much, everybody who has joined thus far. And as always, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe button. I wonder if I can find what if I can find Mason the Moose to give me a second to run to the washroom. Let's see if I can find my co-host. Oh man, he's way back there. All right. Here, I'm going to use these guys. Hold on just one sec. All right, these are my guys from when I was a probation officer and worked at the jail. I'm going to, let's see, leave. I don't know if I can even get these guys to stand up properly. You guys want to name them, you can. Let's see. All right, well, I don't think I can get even these guys to stay in position. Got to grab Mason the Moose again. All right, I will be back in one moment. If you're just joining us, we are here chatting about Freemasonry. I just need to take a quick break. Please, though, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I will be back in a moment. All right. All right, and I'm back. I understand YouTube is going to be doing pretty soon a take a break feature, which would be a lot better for the live streams. Anyways, if you're just joining us, we're here. We chat every Monday through Friday about Freemasonry. So anything you guys want to chat about? I was talking about Masonic lodges and whether Masonic lodges should fund travel for members to Masonic events. We have 12 votes. Yes is at 83%. No is at 17%. The what was I going to say there? The benefits of travel, I would view it honestly as a investment more than anything else. I mean, maybe that would is the way I should have even wrote it. Although I guess that you could argue that's kind of biasing the poll a little bit. But I could have wrote the question, should Freemasons invest, or should a Masonic Lodge invest in travel for its membership? I think that would be another way to put it. Because again, I think, but you also have to be careful on whom or to whom you are investing, right? Because the danger is if you're investing money in a Mason who to get into travel and he ends up not really working out as a Mason or demits or whatever it is, I mean, is that kind of money that has been ill spent or spent poorly? Who knows? But that's always the challenge with anything you do, right? If you spend money on something and it fails, was it worth it? Which usually I tend to think yes. I think oftentimes we are too afraid to fail, if that makes sense. I'm just writing this down on Twitter. I'm just doing this poll on Twitter to see if the Twitter people have any thoughts, or the X people, if you will. If you get the chance, follow me on Twitter, Cameron, at Cameron Adamso16, at Cameron Adamso16. How connected do you feel to other men in your lodge? That's a good question. I mean, I think, look, it really depends on like who the man is, right? Like there are brothers like Igor who they're Masons, they're a member of my lodge, and they I see them every day, or I see Igor almost every day, at least a couple of times a week. And so I feel very connected to him. I feel very connected to the active brothers, certainly the ones who've been through the same things that I have in terms of being an officer and the challenges of that, and kind of going through the war together, or the wars of Freemasonry. The Twits, not so much. I'm not a fan of them. I don't feel connected to them. Or the ones who, the Masons who join and you never see them. I mean, it's very hard to feel connected to them, right? There are some brothers, Randy, Chuck Dunning, I think, would say you should feel connected to all your brothers because you took an obligation. And maybe some people are like that, but for me, the extent to which I feel connected to somebody is going to be dependent on the extent to which I interact with them and I'm involved with them and feel that they are giving their all to the craft, or at least giving as much as I am to the craft. Cristiano Neighbor. Hello, Cristiano. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you will hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'm assuming you are an American because you spelled neighbor with an O-R, not O-U-R. But welcome. We do these streams every Monday through Friday, and we chat about Freemasonry. So let me know, are you a Freemason yourself? If you're not, if you want to answer. If you're not, do you have any questions about Freemasonry? What are your thoughts on Freemasonry? What do you think about the poll question? And please, Cristiano, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It'd be very much appreciated. And going back to what you're saying, so yeah, I don't believe personally that a connection is automatic. I think connection is formed based on how much time I spend with the brother, how hard he works, and how much he cares about Freemasonry and the craft. Same thing as with me. So that is my humble opinion on that. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. And Christiana, let me know also um, how you found our stream. Were you searching for Freemasonry, etc., etc.? I could too. I agree with that 100%, Courtney. It would be wonderful to be a part of that library. There's a few really excellent Masonic libraries out there in the world. That's one of them for certain. So, it's funny. I'm going to do this poll question on my YouTube page as well as here on the stream. Um, I keep hearing that, when you're doing a poll on YouTube, you want to do a um, pictures for your poll or an image poll because I guess it gets more than just text, which I guess makes sense to me. But honestly, I've not found that myself. I found my text polls tend to get better responses than my image polls. So who knows? Um, but if you get the chance and you're just joining us, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. And anybody else who's on here who's a Mason, if you want to answer that question, I hope that you will. How connected do you feel to the other men of your lodge? If you are Mason, let me know. Do you feel connected to all of them? Does it depend on who they are? And even the broader question, but just as maybe important a question, how connected do you feel to other Freemasons in general? Dark Pixel is back. It's been a little while. Welcome back, Dark Pixel. I hope you're doing well. Please hit that like button. I believe you are subscribed, but if you're not subscribed, please hit subscribe. Looks like we got 2 people on the stream who recognize each other, so that is awesome. We have 13 votes right now on this question of should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? 13 votes, yes. So it looks to me like 11 yes, 2 no's. I honestly would view it as an investment. And again, who knows what ideas the visiting brother will find in his lodge or during his travels to Masonic events that he can then bring back to his lodge. I mean, that is one thing that I really try to do as much as I can with this podcast is, share stories of Masonic events, share stories of Masonic initiatives from all around the world. And my hope is my audience who are Freemasons will find that information and then apply it to their own lodge. And so I do try to, help with that as much as I can, but hopefully, no matter how good it is in the virtual space, you need to also travel in person, I think, to truly get the sense of the idea of what it means and of how you can apply it in your own lodge and your own lodge experiences. Cameron, do you know when Masonic jewelry? Well, I mean, do you mean like Courtney the first Masonic jewelry? I mean, I have no idea. I am assuming, early on by the 17, 1800s, I'm assuming, right? The one thing to keep in mind with Masonic jewelry, as a heads up to people, is you want to be really careful. Just because somebody's wearing a piece of jewelry that has a Masonic square and compass on it, square compasses, that doesn't mean that they are necessarily Freemasons. A lot of companies will produce rings and T-shirts and all sorts of jewelry and items with the square and compasses on it, or symbols that look very similar to the Masonic square and compasses, because people recognize that symbol and tend to really like that symbol. Um, so you still want to do your due diligence, test them, make sure that they are in fact Freemasons. In all the ways that you would do so. When they actually make quality. I mean, there are places. I mean, I've been really lucky. Like On Time Jewelers here in Windsor, a great watchmaker, great jewelry shop. They make some really quality stuff. My ring came from my family, and they did some really great stuff with it as well. So it's tough to say, but I think there's a lot of quality stuff out there. You just have to be careful, and a good place to check is with your local Masonic lodge if they know of any local quality jewelry designers. Congrats on 2.04K subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of your support, Dark Pixel. It's wonderful to have over 2,000 subs, and I hope that it keeps growing. Um, 14 votes. Should Masonic lodges fund travel promotion to Masonic events? Yes, 86%. So it looks like still 12 yes, 2 no's. So I appreciate very much all the people saying, all the people voting. If you voted yes, let me know why. If you voted no, let me know why as well. I'd love to know. But thank you everybody for taking part and voting, and for being here, and for commenting on the stream. All that stuff helps out huge. Sound like Donald Trump, huge. But thank you, Dark Pixel, for being here as always. I hope that you are doing very well. Trying to figure out the best way to ask a poll question on how do I do this? On YouTube. As always, don't forget to follow me on YouTube on but also on all my different social media channels, because I try my best to, as much as I can, post different things on social media, different poll questions, updates on what's happening in Square Compass Promotions, all that good stuff. Did you ever watch The Muppet Show, and do you know Kermit? I mean, I used to back in the day, and I know Kermit, but that was many years ago. I don't really watch The Muppets anymore. What are some of your favorite Masonic inspired songs, artists? I mean, so Brad Paisley is a Freemason. It doesn't really come out in his music at all, his Masonic connections, but there are some interviews with him about Freemasonry. So that would be, I guess, my favorite Masonic artist. In terms of favorite Masonic songs that inspire me, um, I mean, there's not really a lot of Masonic songs I can think of. Freemasonry was mentioned in um, Copperhead Road, famously, the Masons Lodge. So I think that to me is probably where I get the idea of things I love. I love Jesus movies. A lot of people do. Pureflix is doing pretty well right now, for example. So I think that is awesome to see, and I think. But going back to, I think there's also a rapper I know who is a Freemason, but I can't think of his name now. I think you actually told me about him, Courtney, once upon a time. So That might be. No, Eminem is not a Freemason. At least Eminem is not a Freemason to my knowledge, though I could be incorrect. He's much smaller than that. Like I mean, smaller in terms of like much less well known, much less famous than Eminem. My favorite Masonic body is going to just be the Blue Lodge. Okay, so Wacotron, I guess that is the rapper's name. But my favorite Masonic body, I mean, it's the Blue Lodge, right? It kind of has to be the Blue Lodge. Right? I think, yeah, I love Scottish Rite. I've been part of Scottish Rite for several years now. I'm 18th degree. Um, I have great respect for Scottish Rite, for York Rite, for all the Masonic bodies, but it has to be at the end of the day, it has to be the Blue Lodge because without the Blue Lodge, none of these other groups can or bodies can exist, right? And I think I think sometimes in Freemasonry, one of the biggest challenges that we have is we have a tendency to forget about how important a strong and functioning Blue Lodge truly is to Freemasonry, right? And to all the other appendant bodies. I'm going to tell some facts about Jesus. I mean, go ahead. We've talked before in Freemasonry. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being, but there is no specific requirement as to the type of faith. So we have many Freemasons who believe in Jesus, but we have many Freemasons who also believe in, of the Muslim faith, of the Jewish faith, of the Hindu faith, First Nations, Wiccan, even. And so I think that's really important to keep in mind as well, that there are men of many different faiths who are who are Freemasons. In fact, I tend to think that that is one of the strengths of Freemasonry. The greatest strength of Freemasonry is the fact that we welcome men of all faiths. Jesus started his ministry when he was about 30 years old. Jesus' first miracle was in Cana. Jesus spoke multiple languages. Jesus needed solitude to pray and recharge. I think for that last one, we could probably, many people could take a page or of advice from Jesus's example. I think oftentimes for many of us, we tend to find our ability to recharge through solitude and prayer, which I think is a great thing. Or yeah, I think that that works for a lot of people, recharging through solitude and prayer. So, I say great. If it worked for Jesus, it probably worked for a lot of other people, and it's worth exploring. I know for me, sometimes even I can feel as though, I really need, when I need to recharge because I'm busy, because I'm tired, I've maybe been around people all day. I can kind of feel at night that I really kind of need to recharge my batteries, and sometimes I need little bit of solitude to do that. I hate social media. It's just not the same. Well, social media, I think, has its values. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate social media or love social media. I used to be more negative towards it. I think I just have um, I think I now more than ever, I just kind of view it as a tool that hopefully can be used, at least in my case, can be used to talk about Freemasonry. Um, I once heard a quote about about lawyers that I apply to to social media. The quote was, "Lawyers are like nuclear weapons. The other guys have them, so I need to have them. But if you start using them, it becomes problematic." I kind of view the same thing with social media. Everybody else has it, so I kind of feel like I have to have it. But if I don't, but it does tend to mess things up. They trash talk about Jesus on social media. In fairness though, Dark Pixel, I think that they trash talk about everybody or everything. So not just about Jesus, but I think social media and the world would be a little bit better place. Oh, there we go. If we stopped with, all of this trash talking, I think less would be good. Well, I mean, there's Masonic research in appendant bodies as well as just in research lodges themselves. Um, so I'm fine with Masonic research. I think it's a very valuable and important part of the craft. I think we need to be a little bit more expansive when it comes to what we mean by um, when it comes to what is meant by or what we mean by research. Um, because sometimes we can have the tendency when we talk about Masonic research to be very esoteric topics or, the history of the ritual or, facts about the life of Preston or Webb or the United Grand Lodge of England, as opposed to we sometimes forget that we also need to keep in mind there are things like how to run a business meeting, what bills need to be paid, how do bills work, what are the requirements to belong to to be a nonprofit, how does the what are the reporting requirements from a Grand Lodge? That stuff I think is just as important in terms of Masonic education and Masonic research, which sometimes gets overlooked. Having said that, though, I am all for Masonic research in any body, whether it be an appendant body or Blue Lodge or both. And I'm also a very much a big supporter of all of the different research lodges that exist throughout the world. I've spoken to Virginia Research Lodge a few times. They're good friends of mine. So, yeah, that is kind of where I land on that. I'm a Christian, so awesome for being from Georgia, because remember you mentioned that before. I know you had a big snowstorm. Awesome for being a wrestler. I love wrestling, and awesome on being a Christian. I hope Jesus forgives us. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a theology expert, so I don't know exactly how all that stuff works. But from what I understand, if you believe in him and request forgiveness, then he forgives you. So obviously, it's very hard to convince other people to, believe the same things. But all you can really do at the end of the day is focus. I'm a firm believer. All you can do at the end of the day is focus on yourself and what's the expression? Do your best and let God do the rest. Do your best and let God do the rest, which I very, very much believe in. Because at the end of the day, all you can do, right, is all you can do is your best. But like by definition, right? Like what else could you possibly do? And I think sometimes we over worry. So yeah, don't worry about Jesus forgiving us. I guess what I'd say is just worry about making sure that you're right with Jesus so Jesus can forgive you. Which again, from what I understand, I don't want to speak too much about theology because I'll get it wrong and condemn someone to eternal suffering. But from what I understand, based on the faith. If you accept Jesus into your heart and you request his forgiveness, then you're all set. So, at least I hope so. Let me just see. I just got to send out a quick email. Work of a secretary or acting secretary or whatever I am. Mason is never finished. But please, if you're just joining us, hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget to jump in the chat. Let me know what you think of the poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for its members? I even could have said invest in, but I felt like that might be putting too much of a positive spin on it. Fund, I think, is a more neutral term, which gives people a little bit, different ideas, or it allows people to kind of more decide for themselves. Because they may say we never agreed it was an investment. That would be an example of a leading question. And if you are not yet so, I please hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button. We'll give it a bit more time. Let's see who else joins us. Thank you, everybody, for all your comments. Thank you, Courtney, as always, for your questions, especially questions regarding and surrounding Masonic research and appendant bodies. I just want to give it a bit more time to see who else potentially jumps in to find us. So I do these streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. This weekend, I will likely be doing my stream on my personal channel, doing a midnight horror movie watch along. Welcome if you're just joining us. Please, as always, welcome if you're just joining us. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing. I do these streams every Monday through Friday where we talk about Freemasonry. Cameron, can you share with us a summary of your Masonic year? So for since January of this year, we had an installation in Windsor Lodge, which is my mother lodge. Um, So that was special. Installations are always incredibly special and incredibly fun. We had a really excellent grand Scottish Rite gala. So that's another highlight that I really enjoyed. It was really well attended, and it was in a beautiful location. So it was an absolute blast. I was re-elected to the position of Worshipful Master in Border Cities Lodge. So that was really special. And that installation will be in May. We have a Masonic Child Identification Program training coming up. That's a really special program where they work with families to make sure that kids have an identification package. So if, knock on wood, heavens forbid, they ever find themselves kidnapped, the police have a package which has all their identifying features in it and pictures and things like that, so they can be identified, and it can be sent out to people in different police stations to help them hopefully find the kids. I'm looking forward to that training session. I've been to Essex Masonic Temple a few times. I've been trying to get to the coffee club when I can. Usually the big push for Freemasonry is in November, December. That is when, and that is when we have all of the official visits and, all of the installations, I should say. And also, I've got a chance to attend a whole bunch of Masonic fundraisers in Chicago and Glenview and Skokie, Illinois, which was a blast. I posted that on social media, and I've got to take part and watch 2 plays in the Masonic Temple Ballroom. It's great to see the theater being used, or the ballroom being used for theater productions. That was really, really special. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members to Masonic events? 15 votes. Thank you, everybody who voted. Yes, 80%. No, 20%. If you're just joining us, please take a moment and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Looks like we've got a few new people just jumping on the stream once again, which is wonderful to see. Let me know, again, as always, what it is that you guys want to talk about. And thank you to everybody who has been on the stream so far. Looks like we've had about 106 people on the stream so far. So thank you very much for everybody who has jumped on. If you want to make sure other people can find this stream, the best way you can do that is by hitting the like button, answer our poll question to take part, and let me know what it is you want to talk about. If you are a Freemason, awesome. I'd love to learn more about your Masonic journey. If you're not, but you have any questions about it, let me know, and I'd love to do my best to try to answer them. I have been a Freemason since 2007. I certainly don't know everything, but I like to think I at least have a basic background and some research and, experience for several years as a worshipful master and secretary in a bunch of different offices that hopefully I can help you guys, or at least I can provide my insights into the craft and into Freemasonry. So thank you, everybody who has joined so far. Truly, truly appreciate it. I'm just going to see if I can quickly get this thing fixed a little bit, because it's potentially running low. Let's see what I can do here. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, we got that there. See if I can put this guy here. Let's see if this works, if it'll stay. Freemasonry had many notable members throughout history. I'm curious to know which historical figure who was a Freemason you admire the most and why. That's a great question. Because as you start with the top of that thing, right, Freemasonry has had many notable, and the key challenge there is the many notable part. It makes it, oh my gosh, so tough to be able to answer, because, just trying to get this reset up, because it truly has had so many. And that makes it very, very hard to figure out what the best, like Winston Churchill might be up there. George Washington. It's hard to argue against that. I mean, maybe just because my dad's British, so maybe I'll stick with the British guy. Why not go with Winston Churchill? I mean, you know, managed to think we're good there. Managed to protect the West from what was I mean, outside of just a horribly evil ideology, it was also an anti-Masonic ideology. Right, the Nazis were putting Freemasons in concentration camps, along with obviously Jewish people and anybody else they didn't like, which was a pretty big list. And so his kind of work in his leadership in a very difficult time for the Western world, I think it's hard not to admire that. George Washington has to be up there as well. Ben Franklin, another great example. Who is Giuseppe Garibaldi? I recognize the name, but I can't place it right now. So I'm not sure who that might be. I could probably look him up because he sounds very familiar. So I'm sure once I look him up, I'll realize exactly, I'll realize I know who he was right away. Um, but thank you, everybody who's put in this vote. Should Masonic Lodges fund travel for its members? 15 votes, 80% are saying yes. 20% are saying no. So it's not too late to take part in that poll question. I'm not sure how much longer I'll do this stream for, but it's been a great stream, and I hope that you guys will keep checking us out on social media. So we will, be able to share with you guys all the things we got going on, as well as our Patreon page, patreon.com/Square and Compass, and you can find my personal YouTube channel, Cameron Adamson, where I do watch along movies on weekends as well as travel blogs. I got one coming up this weekend, midnight movie watch along, Saturday at midnight. I admire preferably the Illustrated History of Freemasonry, 1892. Was that written by Mackey? No, Mackey did the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. Giuseppe Garibaldi, general and former deputy of the Kingdom of Italy. I did not know he was okay, this is interesting. I'm going to research this guy. By the way, if you're just joining us, welcome. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. We are here chatting about Freemasonry. I tell these streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Today's poll question: should Masonic Lodges fund travel for its members? Yes or no? In the meantime, though, also please jump in the chat, say hello, let me know what you want to talk about. Giuseppe Garibaldi was an Italian general, revolutionary, and Republican. He contributed to Italian unification to be one of Italy's fathers of the fatherland, along with Camillo Benso, many others. He was a follower of Italian nationalist Mazzini and embraced the Republican nationalism of the Young Italy movement. Let me see where he... Garibaldi joined Freemasonry during his exile, taking advantage of the asylum the lodges offered to political refugees from European countries. At age of 37, during 1844, Garibaldi was initiated into the Asilo della Virtude Lodge of Montevideo. This was an irregular lodge under Brazilian Freemasonry, not recognized by the main international Masonic obedience, such as United Lodge of England. While Garibaldi had little use for Masonic rituals, he was active Freemason and regarded Freemasonry as a network that united progressive men as brothers both within nations and as global community. Garibaldi was eventually elected as the Grand Master of the Grand Orient of Italy. Giraldi realized his position in 1844, joining the Lodge Les Amis de la Patrie of Montevideo, under the Grand Orient of France. Yes, I was always studying. Wonderful and great individual. Thank you so much for sharing this information with me. I truly appreciate it. And maybe I'll do a stream one day talking about Giraldi and maybe doing some research about him and seeing what I can find. That was just a quick, a quick Wikipedia search. So certainly not claiming that, that was by any means a an exhaustive search. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could learn and hopefully will learn about him. So thank you, Courtney, for sharing that information with me, or that name, I should say, with me. All right, let's give it a bit more time. Let's see who else jumps on the chat to say hello. If you're just joining us, as always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I do these streams every Monday through Friday where I talk about Freemasonry, positive, negative, neutral. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on Freemasonry. The Interesting how much of Freemasonry seems to have been involved with Giraldi's life. Giraldi suggested a grand alliance between various factions on the left. Why don't we pull together in one organized group the Freemasonry, the democratic societies, workers' clubs, rationalists, mutual aid, etc., which have the same tendency toward good? It's interesting to hear in this example Freemasonry being described as an organization more on the left. Most people, or a lot of people, I think, have a tendency to think of Freemasonry, at least at a certain point in time, Freemasonry as being more an organization on the right. So it's interesting to see that to Giraldi and to so many people at this time, or Garibaldi, I should say, Freemasonry was considered more a leftist organization, right? Based on this quote, why don't we pull together in one organized group the Freemasonry, democratic societies, workers' clubs, so unions, rationalists, mutual aid, etc., which have the same tendency towards good. So that's an interesting little piece of fact there. By the way, if you're just joining us, welcome. Please answer our poll question, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing, and as always, what it is you want to talk about. I do these streams every Monday through Friday where we chat about Freemasonry, positive views on Freemasonry, negative, neutral. I've been a Freemason since 2007. I certainly don't claim to know everything about Freemasonry, but I hope I can at least provide some general insights based on my Masonic journey. And if you hate Freemasonry, you know what? That's okay too. I still want to hear what you have to say and what your thoughts are. Are racism and homophobia inherently unmasonic? I certainly think so. Based on my experiences, they are. But keep in mind, at the end of the day, Freemasonry is human beings. And, no matter how good an organization is, you are always going to run into the problem of human beings messing things up and bringing their own inherent biases or negative thoughts into the craft. All you can do is rely on a Grand Lodge to try to disavow such behaviors as best you can. Would you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo-Greek rite of Freemasonry? I've heard this framing postulated and wanted to know what a Mason thinks. Sure, Rondo. I don't see why not. I mean, So the Greek system are fraternities, as is Freemasonry. They have rituals, as does Freemasonry. Um, so if somebody wanted to consider it as such, like that's fine with me. They would need to keep in mind though that the keywords there are pseudo, right? They would not be able to join a Greek fraternity on campus and then from there that gets them application into Freemasonry. They would still have to start at the beginning. Um, with their Masonic career and start as an entered apprentice. But I mean, I can appreciate the idea that it is kind of a pseudo. I mean, you could argue in 2025, pretty much all fraternal organizations are in some way, shape, or form pseudo Freemasonry because Freemasonry had such an impact on and promoting of fraternal societies. It's hard to argue that, there's not a significant connection between them. Um, at least I think there is. So, sure. But again, that doesn't mean that if you are a member of the Greek campus life, that you get to then become a Freemason, right? That's not how that works. Having said that, I love, one thing I also love is scary movies that deal with fraternities or sororities. So, just on a little side note, like, oh my God, Sorority Row, House on Sorority Row. All those movies I tend to really enjoy. And it's funny, for a Masonic trip I took to Alma, Michigan a few months ago, I ended up staying at an Airbnb that was, the rooms at the Airbnb were converted from a old sorority house. So that was really, really cool. It made me feel like I was in one of those movies I love so much. So that was a lot of fun. Welcome if you're just joining us. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Answer our poll question. Should Masonic lodges fund travel for members? Yes or no? We've got 15 votes. Yes has 80%. No has 20%. If there's anything else that you want to talk about on the stream, once again, jump in the chat. Any thoughts you have about Freemasonry, positive, negative, neutral, I would love to hear them. Thank you, Rondo, for your question. Actually, you know what, Rondo, I'm going to make that because I think we can end this poll and switch it with another one. I'm going to make this question, or your question, I'm going to make that the next poll question. So I don't know. Congratulations. Let's end this poll. Oh, 16 votes. Interesting. 16 votes. Yes, 75%. No, 25%. So 12 votes yes, 4 votes no. Thank you to everybody who voted. Let me know if you did vote and you haven't said so yet in the chat why you voted the way you did, yes or no. And any questions you maybe have about that as a poll. I'm going to do another poll question now based on Rondo's contribution to the chat. Would you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo Greek rite of Freemasonry? Yes, no, let me know. And thank you to everybody who took part in the last poll. 16 votes is a great turnout, or great result. Speaking of voting, I voted yesterday in the Canadian elections. The voting offices are open. The one here in Windsor West, is on Olette, the old library. If you get the chance, vote early. That way, at least you know you've got it done. And welcome to everybody. If you're just joining us, please hit like and subscribe. Jump in the chat, say hello. I'd really, really appreciate it. Pike's Esoterica, which you can get from the Scottish Rite Store, also has really good historical appendices that help the reader with early 18th century history of Freemasonry in England. We definitely need those appendices when you're dealing with Pike or when you're dealing with most Masonic when you're dealing with almost any Masonic works or books, especially older ones, like Pike, because oftentimes there's a lot of older English words, or he will write about things and he will assume that the reader will be knowledgeable about the history of it when they won't be, which does create, some challenges. So, I mean, a good piece of advice is if you're were to say purchase anything by Pike or Mackey, Morals of Dogma, whatever it is, try to make sure they've got some type of appendixes, some type of glossary of terms, because you're going to need that. The most important Masonic book, it has to be Morals and Dogma, right? I don't see what else it could possibly be. Um, but Morals and Dogma, even though a lot of people over exaggerate the importance of that book in some ways, they kind of treat it almost as a Masonic Bible, which it isn't. There is no Masonic Bible. Even the Bibles you see online, it's not actually a Masonic Bible, it's just a regular King James Bible with a space for Masons to print their name and give it as a gift to somebody. Um, but it's hard to not argue Morals and Dogma. I mean, the Preston and Webb work, where they created the ritual, I can't think of the name of it now, is pretty important. The first person who put down the emulation degree under United Grand Lodge of England, um, pretty important work as well. So there's been a few, but I would go with that one. Would you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo Greek rite of Freemasonry? Yes, one vote, 100%. The ritual book, so, I mean, that is going to be the most important book for each individual Freemason. But the most important Masonic book, I think you have to define that a little bit more broadly to apply beyond the individual Mason. Because I think you need to include books that the public will see or have a chance of reading, or books that kind of won't change whether I'm reading it or a Mason in Tennessee is reading it. And I think for that, it's kind of got to go more the Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike kind of approach to things. All right, let's give it a bit more time, see who else joins us. I had a great Masonic week. Yesterday it was, or so Wednesday it was Border Cities Lodge official, Border Cities Lodge elections. I was elected as the worshipful master elect once again of Border Cities Lodge, and I was honored for that. So I'm worship master elect, and then yesterday was Harmony Lodge, great meeting, and today is Windsor Lodge. So that's very, very special. Interesting point of trivia: most, if not all, historically black Legion fraternities were established by Prince Hall Masons. Um, so again, another reason why it may be appropriate to consider the Greek system as kind of a um, pseudo Masonic organization or pseudo Masonic degrees. The keyword though being pseudo, and again, unless there's something I'm not aware of, to my knowledge, there's no Greek um, or college fraternity that, if you join, allows you entrance into Freemasonry. You still have to start as an entered apprentice. If you would be so kind as to please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button if you're just joining us, and let me know what it is that you want to talk about. Rondo, if you're not yet a subscriber, you can also subscribe to the my personal YouTube channel, where I do streams not about Freemasonry. I just talk about anything. Usually on weekends I do midnight movie watch-alongs, midnight Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow I'll be doing that with a movie at midnight, a scary movie, probably Incident in a Ghost Land. What I can maybe do is, oops, let me see if I can find this. If you go to this link, you can, let me just go back. You can subscribe to my personal YouTube channel and maybe join us for the midnight movie watch along, which will take place tomorrow on Saturday. And everybody who's just joining us, thank you so much for being here. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. That's the link there. Masonic memorabilia. Well, I think I talked about this before, and it is absolutely on my list. One day, I want to do a stream where I go through all of my different Masonic memorabilia that I've been lucky enough to collect over the years. Pins, coins, pens, some interesting things that are unique, calendars. I'd love to share those with people so they can learn at least more about my collection and some of the interesting stories behind them. And honestly, I have so much, and I've been lucky enough to have so many travels that involve getting these different pieces of memorabilia that it's going to feel really special to get the chance to share some of these things with my audience. So, I mean, I think in general, a lot of people collect Masonic memorabilia. It can be a really special way to collect memories of special events, right? A pin from a lodge that you visited. So I love my Masonic pins and coins and pens and all the rest of it. And the conspiracy theorists, they will get going no matter what you do. So I try not to worry about conspiracy theorists one way or the other. Because I find that ultimately, all you can do is your best. And as I said earlier, you do your best and you let God do the rest. Looks like we got 3 votes. Would you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo-Greek rite of Freemasonry? 3 votes, 3 yeses, it looks like. So there you go. We've got 11 likes on the channel. So thank you, or on the stream, I should say. So thank you so much for that. If you haven't done so yet, please hit like, please hit subscribe, jump in the chat and say hello. Make sure to try to, if you could take a few moments to answer my poll question as well, would be very much appreciated. We still have my meeting tonight, so very much looking forward to that. 3rd meeting in a row, which honestly is not even such a big deal, relatively speaking. All right, let's give it a couple more. Let's see if anybody else jumps on before potentially I end this stream. We'll be back with another stream on Monday, and potentially we will have an episode this weekend. So pay attention to our socials for that. I was at a pocket watch from my grandfather. I'm sure it is really nice, and I'm sure it is a wonderful keepsake you have of him. So that is awesome that you have that. I hope that, as I'm sure you will, I hope that you always cherish it. Which, like I said, I'm sure that you will do so. So I've got like I said, I've got a meeting tonight, another Masonic Lodge meeting, this time with my Mother Lodge, which will be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, it's going to be be a great night, and then it's going to be a great weekend also. Of course. Thank you for being here. As always, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Hopefully, like I said, we had a great turnout, about 100 and something people. And I think Monday it'll be another great turnout as well. Hopefully, we might have some better ideas about the stock market and all that good jazz, and whether potentially that will how much that will affect not just Freemasonry, but civic groups or civic societies in general, which you always have to keep in mind. But Freemasonry cannot separate itself from these economic challenges, right? I truly believe that. So I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. In the meantime, though, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Let me know how you're doing, and let me know what it is that you would like to chat about. And we got 3 votes, all 3 saying yes when it comes to, would you consider the collegiate fraternities a pseudo-Greek Masonic group? I just want to give it a couple more minutes, like I said, to see who, if anybody else joins. I do think I may next stream do an actual podcast about Garibaldi, because he seems like he had a really amazing life and was very active and involved in Freemasonry, and is somebody I knew very little about. So I try my best to when I can to you know learn about things, but then also share what I've learned with other people, and share what I've learned on my streams. I think that is really critical. So I'm just giving it a little bit more time, with the off chance a couple more people join us. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you, Courtney, as always. I don't mind. I'm just going to hang out here. If anybody else jumps in the chat and wants to talk about Freemasonry at all, that's cool. Fridays are also usually like an Ask Me Anything, Ask Us Anything kind of stream, which I really enjoy. Because it's nice to just kind of get people randomly on the chat and see where they are at in terms of Freemasonry and their love of Freemasonry, or their maybe some people hate Freemasonry, which is fine as well. Let me know why that might be. Let me see if I can maybe share this with a couple people quickly as well. If you have any ideas for my movie watch along this weekend, I think I will do Incident in a Ghostland. The reason being, it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies that is, I think, very overlooked. And so one of the fun things is to do movies that are overlooked, and it's also free and it's streaming on Tubi. Whenever possible, um, I try my best to focus on movies that are free, or on a free streaming app. So Pluto TV, Tubi, anything to that extent. Because I think, yeah, you want people to be able to follow along and not need to pay money for a streaming service, you know? So Tubi can be a really great example of that. Willow Wise, how foxy? How fox? Thank you so much, Willow, for being here. I hope you are doing well. I hope you will hit the like button and the subscribe button, Willow. Let me know how you're doing. We do these streams every Monday through Friday where I chat about Freemasonry. So let me know if you have any opinions on Freemasonry, positive, negative, neutral. I would love to hear it. Um, and as always, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button and subscribe button. I'm going to assume that you are saying how foxy, you're calling me a fox, which I will take. I will take it happily. Let me know if you voted on our poll question, and if you did, what your thoughts are, whether you think Freemasonry can, whether you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo-Greek rite of Freemasonry. I'd love to know kind of what your thoughts are on that, as well as anything else that you want to talk about. And I appreciate everybody who has joined the stream so far. It's been a great one, as always. I always enjoy doing these streams. I can't wait for Monday when I'll be doing this stream again at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be an absolute blast. I may talk about Garibaldi from Italy's history. Willow Wise, sorry, I'm not sure what that means, but maybe thank you for the comment. Knights Templar of the Middle East, The Hidden History of the Islamic Origins of Freemasonry is a book that I've become aware of. I don't have any opinions because I'm not aware of that book. There are, Freemasonry is, has a lot of different lineages and parentage to it. The root of it, the core root is the trade guilds, the stonemason trade guilds in Europe, particularly in England and Scotland. But as it grew, it picked up different bits of knowledge and wisdom from many different groups, Judaism, Christianity, the Muslim faith. And even before that, you could argue stonemasonry collected data and use and knowledge and tools and wisdom from so many different cultures and faiths. There are examples of beautiful stonemasonry in the New World, as well as, or at that time, Mesoamerica, the Old World, as well as Egypt, as well as the Islamic world, as well as the Celtic world, as well as the Christian world. So Freemasonry is parented by many different lineages and faiths and histories. Willow Wise, I'm not sure what, so you're saying you're foxy, well, which is very cool, Willow Wise, I'm sure you are. Eastern Star has the symbol it does, who serves as archetype of womanhood, representing a daughter, a widow, a wife, a sister, matron. Yes, they do. I believe they adopted that in 1867, if I recall correctly, is the origin of Eastern Star, Courtney. So, yeah, very cool, and thank you for sharing that. Honestly, I haven't done near enough podcasts or anything about Eastern Star. I really, really should do more. Because Eastern Star is a very valuable and very important part of our Masonic family and our Masonic fraternity. So I wish that I should do more than I have. I've done a couple shorter interviews, but nothing longer, which I should get to. Thank you, Willow Wise. I really do appreciate that very much, and I appreciate your being here. anything that you want to talk about or questions you have, I would love to hear what they might be. It's great to see everybody joining us. We have 5 votes on the stream. Interesting. So would you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo Greek rite of Freemasonry? 4 votes yes, 1 vote no. Not all grand chapters of OAS are members of the general grand chapter of OAS. Yeah, Courtney, I don't know a ton about the history of, or not the history, but the jurisdictions of OES and how that works, whether it's national or jurisdictional. But it's no different than Freemasonry. Not every group that claims itself to be a Masonic group is, in fact, affiliated with the Grand Lodge. Sometimes that means they're clandestine, sometimes there's some internal squabble. So you always need to be kind of careful about that type of stuff. Having said that, though, once again, I will absolutely do my best to make sure that I get more Eastern Star content on here sooner rather than later. Just sending out this invitation to a few more people to see if we can potentially get some more people jumping in the chat. Those not affiliated with General Grand Chapter New York, for example, Crown Star Point. Okay, so I did not know that. So that's really cool little bit of trivia. Thank you so much, Masonic. Willow Wise. I do not know what that means, Willow Wise. And also, I'm terrible at math. Spirit, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight's lodge meeting just got canceled. Kind of relieved since I wasn't prepared for what I was supposed to do. LOL. I mean, I've been in that boat as well. Spirit, don't worry. I've been in the exact same boat where I was dreading a meeting. Although I find oftentimes I feel as though I'm not prepared, and then I get there, and it's almost like that scene in Old School where I end up being able to pull out what I need to pull out. Though I'm dreading going to the meeting. So sometimes you never know. Having said that, I'm happy it got postponed or canceled, I guess. Hopefully that means when you hit it up next time, it will be you will be prepared. 6 votes. Would you consider collegiate fraternities a pseudo Greek Masonic rite? 6 votes. Looks like 5 yes, 1 no. But it is great to see Spirit here with us. There you go. So long as you're ready next time, right? That's what matters. And consider this just a lucky break that you can hopefully take advantage of and learn from. As with most things in life, that's kind of what you want, right? Is you learn from your mistakes and you move on. Welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we chat about Freemasonry. So answer our poll question. We were talking earlier about travel and Masonic travel, and whether Masons should consider paying, or lodges should consider paying Masons, or covering costs and funding Masonic travel for their members, and what people thought about that. Now we have this question about the Greek system. I've learned some stuff about some famous Masons I did not know about beforehand, so thank you for that. As always, please hit the like button, subscribe button, answer our poll question. Let me know how you're doing and anything you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Positive, negative, neutral. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to give it maybe another, let's say, 5 minutes to see if anybody else jumps in the chat to say hello. If they do, it'd be great to talk to you. But if not, I do still have to get ready for my meeting tonight. Spirit, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, my meeting was not canceled, so I do have to get there. But luckily, it'll just be a relatively, I think, simple business meeting. Not a whole lot planned, which I always appreciate those kinds of meetings very, very much. Giving the third degree is one, Courtney. On the level is one. Square conduct is one. Blackballing is one. I think those are the big ones. The word inculcate, oftentimes, it's not a phrase or common term so much, but I find when I hear people use it, I wonder if they're a Freemason because inculcate is more of a Masonic term. You hear more Masonic ritual than you do in day to day life. So. Let's give it a few more minutes. Let's see if anybody else jumps on to say hello. If not, it has been a wonderful stream as always. I will be back Monday, 1 p.m. I will also have another potential episode this weekend, as well as another stream that I'll be doing. So it's going to be really special and a lot of fun. But thank you to everybody who has joined so far. 6 votes. Looks like 5 votes yes, 1 vote no. Would you consider collegiate fraternities as a pseudo-Greek rite of Freemasonry? But welcome if you're just joining us. Please take a moment if you've done so yet. Hit that like and subscribe button. We've had a lot of people come and go from the streams, which has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Courtney, as always, for being here. Truly appreciate it. And thank you for all of your questions, which were wonderful. I really do appreciate it. As always, you're being here. Let's see, we got 5 people watching, which is wonderful to see. Had a lot of people answer our poll questions. Also, this weekend, we might know more about the actual economic impact of all these tariffs and stuff, which so far hasn't been good, quote unquote, Liberation Day. We shall see how it continues to affect us here in Canada and if it's worth exploring more of that. I also definitely want to do a stream about Easter. So that is on the list 100%. If you are just joining us, welcome. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I do these streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern where we chat about Freemasonry. Today, we were chatting about Masonic travel. We talked a little bit about the Greek system, and then this is kind of just the Ask Us Anything part of the stream. So if you are new to the channel, I hope you'll like and subscribe and let me know what you think about Freemasonry. Positive, negative, neutral. I'm happy to talk about anything in terms of that with you guys and that stuff. And thank you for everybody who is hitting those heart reactions. Very much appreciated. Hitting the heart reactions. Any of these reactions always helps big time with people finding the stream. So truly, truly appreciated. If you have any ideas for topics you want to see me cover on Monday, by the way, I hope that you will let me know what they might be because I would love to. I always like to get ideas from my audience. That includes ideas from my Patreon audience, which I will be contacting shortly as well. So if you are a Patreon member, truly, truly appreciated. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are here. We do these live streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, where I talk about Freemasonry. So if you have anything you want to talk about in the chat, this is the Ask Us Anything kind of portion of the stream where it's just see who jumps on the chat, see who says hello, and see what they want to talk about. We've had a great stream. We talked about Masonic travel and maybe funding travel for Masons of the lodge funds. Talked a little bit about. I learned something about one of the earlier founders of, I guess, modern Italy, who was a Freemason, which is really really cool. So yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. Courtney, no worries. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy. It looks like you're getting a coffee there, so enjoy your coffee as always. Truly appreciate you being here. I'm not sure how much longer I'll keep this stream going myself. Not that I haven't loved it. There's still people on watching, but I do have to get ready at some point for my meeting tonight. So I want to keep that in mind. But well, we still have at least four people here hanging out. I want to see if anybody wants to jump on the chat and say hello. And please don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe, etc., all the things that you are supposed to say. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I don't consider college fraternities and sororities Masonic, but I know they have Masonic origins. Well, some do, some don't. I mean, you could argue, and I think I mentioned this earlier, you could argue that almost any fraternity that exists in 2025 has some connection to Freemasonry. We talked actually about agricultural fraternities that were founded by Freemasons. I mean, certainly, like the idea of a fraternity really took off thanks in large part to Freemasons and Freemasonry. So they kind of, Boy Scouts too, so they kind of have Freemasonry to thank for it. I think some college fraternities do, like maybe the idea came from Freemasonry. They saw how popular it was, but they date themselves back to like Greek fraternities of learning. So going back to Plato's Academy. Um, but I think there's an argument made that because Freemasonry is just so ubiquitous, kind of any fraternity could. almost be a pseudo Masonic fraternity in some senses. Though I'm sure there are many fraternities that would dispute that, perhaps if it's just I can't speak today, would dispute that, let's say, quite loudly or quite emphatically or vociferously. Thank you, everybody who has been checking out these streams so far. It's been a great turnout. As always, don't forget, if you're joining, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave some heart emojis. Thank you to some of the new people we had joining. I really appreciated you guys being on the streams as well. That was awesome. And great to see. All right, because it is 4 o'clock and I do still have to get ready for my meeting tonight, I'm going to call this stream. Thank you so much to everybody who joined. Pay attention because we may have a weekend episode. If not, we'll be back on Monday with another podcast, with another live stream, Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. See you, brother. Thank you so much for being here, everybody, and I will see you all soon.